to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Have you watched Why Raila Lost episode or the feature by NTV? Tonight, I took my time and went through it, and I was left in the middle of nowhere. Whether the objective of the story was to convince me that Raila lost, or it was to tell me, for me to find out myself. So if I was to watch the video for 5 minutes and walk out without watching to the end, will I know that Raila lost? Or how will it be? I was just asking my mentor, Andy Kia, veteran journalist, and he's telling me, Kevin, it was more of a news piece. I'll not dismiss that feature and say completely that it was not well done, because I need to acknowledge that putting up this feature together is very difficult, especially in terms of resources. Myself, I've been trying to get an interview by a very close, a ranking member of Azimio, by the way. I see him, he's featured in that video, in that feature, and he's been taking me through circles for now, I think like 2 weeks. But sure, your interview to Tafanya. And there's some sources. I saw the sources in that video, revelations by different people. And so Kanchory, Raila's chief agent, is interviewed. Jeremiah Kioni was Jubilee Secretary General. I didn't understand why he was part of that. I don't know what was his role at that time from election day. And Jomusheru, ICT, CS, then Babu Owino. From those sources, I first just asked myself, will they convince me? Will they give me really the gist of it? Then have to find out. Kanchory, set above, Raila's chief agent, is blaming everyone except himself. He's throwing jabs at Makamutua, Junet Mohammed, Jomusheru, and he's blaming everyone that was in charge of the election except himself, who was the chief agent. I wanted to listen to a snippet of this feature a bit. These are the voices of Babu, Kanchory, I think, and Jeremiah Kioni here.
Section of Azimio that over-relied on the civil servants. And they failed to appreciate and understand that the civil servants are transient in nature. They will move from this government to the next. Theirs is to be careful. They have to be very, very careful. They have really no loyalty to a government that is likely whose term has come to an end.
The UDS side called it in court, they call it a tragic comedy. And in some ways, I agree with them. It was very tragic, how a whole nation was taken for granted. And a game was played, at a very high level, including by the international media, the international community.
Now, the feature is talking about agents. And on the matter of agents, it's talking about recruitment, funding, capacity, coordination, and infiltration by the competitors. Where, of course, there was a statement there that some of Azimio agents were actually bribed by the UDA wing, or there was a bit of that hostility. And I want us to look at this because I also had done interview here with a gentleman who was inside Azimio Tallying Center. Azimio Tallying Center was in Jubilee HQ, and I think his statement is also going to paint a picture on what exactly, so that you really compare between what is being said and with someone who was inside the Azimio Tallying Center. That interview, I normally have it in this channel, so I've just extracted it. Watch it here.
Because you could go for 3 days and you have the numbers of the agents, and then on the 4th day, a quarter of them have withdrawn. They do not want the job again.
Now, how does he withdraw? Does he tell you he's withdrawn? I'm on a finger line or?
sometimes the kind of flow of the conversation just subsides, and you're wondering, where is Kevin?
Oh, he's not talking. He stopped talking.
Because remember, maybe, like I told you, we went every day. So maybe the previous day, yesterday, we talked to Kevin, and it was, oh, Kevin, bye, we'll meet tomorrow. And then the following day, Kevin is not there, is not active in the WhatsApp group, and then when you call, the tone has changed. He tells you, Frederick, no, we're not interested anymore. And you,
Which areas?
mostly, to be honest, it was in Central. The
Where agents were withdrawing.
They were withdrawing en masse, not just once. You know, we had several. If you talk to them, and like I told you, your supporters at the board will confirm this. Not once or twice. They withdraw, and you're back to square one.
So in your induction, it took how many days, and what exactly were you guys doing before on the induction period, before even the voting day?
You see, guys might not believe this, that we were at the tallying center for close to 2 weeks.
Before the
elections. We took an entire week just trying to rehearse, to do some...
These 2 weeks you are being paid daily?
Yes, daily.
Then that means, before you even say, that means the cost of this is very high.
Very, very high. And we used to see some of the prominent politicians getting in and out.
These 2 weeks?
In these 2 weeks. Some of them did not find time to come and even talk to us. There was a problem in some counties, before I go to the D-Day. Because you could go for 3 days and you have the numbers of the agents. And then on the 4th day, a quarter of them have withdrawn. They do not want the job again.
Now, how does he withdraw? Does he tell you he's withdrawn? I'm on a finger line out?
Sometimes the kind of flow of the conversation just subsides, and you're wondering, where is Kevin?
Oh, he's not talking. He stopped talking.
Because remember, maybe, like I told you, we went every day. So maybe the previous day, yesterday, we talked to Kevin, and it was, oh, Kevin, bye, we'll meet tomorrow. And then the following day, Kevin is not there, is not active in the WhatsApp group, and then when you call, the tone has changed. He tells you, Frederick, no, we're not interested anymore. And you're like, what? We are closing in. The elections are nearing. We only have barely maybe 4 days or something, and he has withdrawn. And then in the entire building...
take us through.
Yes.
At what point, when he withdraws, what is the reason? Okay, which areas?
Mostly, to be honest, it was in Central.
Where agents were withdrawing.
They were withdrawing en masse, not just once. You know, we had several. If you talk to them, and like I told you, your supporters at the board will confirm this. Not once or twice. They withdraw, and you're back to square one.
So, but when you tell your supervisor is supposed to...
The supervisors were supposed... It was a well-coordinated program. The supervisor had to report on another one. We had about 10 senior officials there. And we had politicians coming in and out. I wish I could call their name, but no. So ours was to report. Some actions were being taken very hurriedly, and we could get other numbers.
But we get other agents.
Yeah.
But an agent that would withdraw, at what level? County, constituency, or at the one that you were supposed to be at a polling station?
Yes, the one you see, at the county level, the county coordinator was coordinating everything from the one that would be at the ward and even at the station.
Now, the bombshell is on Jeremiah Kioni. And Jeremiah Kioni is saying something very critical. Before that, I've tried to look at the structure. I've tried to look at that script, the script of that feature. There is one man here called Kanchory. So Kanchory is blaming Junet and Musheru. So after him making all these allegations, what Ken was doing is going to CS Musheru confirm. Is it? He has responded. Junet and Mukamutua, who are also named, profoundly named on that article, on that feature, failed to respond. Then somehow, getting sources became a problem. That's why now he had now to fall back to Babu and Jeremiah Kioni, the ones who are now available. The others were just now the cutaways. So, what I can see there is, number one, there is a lot of secrecy that was within Azimio ranks. Many people don't even have that information. there was a lot of secrecy. So the coming out to speak by Kanchory was to provoke the thoughts. And why am I saying that he's the lead artist? Not the lead artist. He's the lead source. He's the main source here. The others are just supportive. For example, ukienda kukava ajali, unaanzanga na tafuta facts, the 5 Ws, where, who, how many, nini. Shamaliza can get, understand the victim, then unatafuta supportive clips, driver, polisi, moja, na witness, then you do that story. So on this one, the Babus and Jeremiah Kionis were just supportive. But there is something that Jeremiah Kioni said that you need to listen to.
I'll give you an example of one station at Karatina, where when the tallying got underway, town, Karatina, and Raila had 402 votes. The agents of the other parties have continued to tell us today that when we got to their votes, Azimio votes, they said, Naizi, that is now the PO. These 400 votes, 402 votes, na mwenyewe hatumuoni, mnataka tufanye nini naye? Weka kwa Ruto.
I want to fully agree with Jeremiah Kioni on this issue of agents. And I know it is not prudent and many people will not want to hear about this issue about agents or so. But that is where election was won, or that's where it was somehow was lost. Because election was at that point. We mentioned that for someone, if you have political ambition, apart from the campaign funding, go and invest in the polling station. So really, on what he's saying, if that was something that happened, then we really need to get worried. Did that question answer whether Raila lost? Is it framed? And that's why I started by saying, when you left the newsroom, what was your achieve? What did you want to achieve? Did you want to convince me? Did you come out with already a mind that I want to convince the viewer that Raila lost? Or did you go out to throw your mind in the net to listen to what these people are saying so that myself I sit back and make it like Raila lost? Because the sources will also show. Although I also want to agree that if you, from the first person, from the question you first ask Kanchory, it's what creates the tone of that that feature, because you realize that everyone else becomes now responding to Kanchory. On that end, you are advancing Kanchory's angle. So Babu defend Junet Uko. CS Msheru is responding, is also dismissing Kanchory. What did they say? Kanchory means the man that knows everything. Except that he's not. He's executing, is excluding himself from the problem. The interesting text for me that would have really would have been of interest. There is a statement by Babu Owino that he called Kibisho, telling him that Chebukati had bungled elections. So what Nani should even have known, I would even have asked is, so what was the coordination until Babu to call him, or on what ground? Was he calling him because, or what was Babu's role at that time? That question, from there, I also believe we would have gotten a feedback from IBC Secretariat. In fact, this story cannot get catchy. When I was listening to it, when I saw the headline, I wanted to know what IBC is saying, and I've not had, maybe CSK division, maybe there is part 2. So, if you could ask IBC on what can they say on a perception that election was bungled. Of course, they would be defensive, but getting that exclusive interview would lock it. You actually lock the feature. If they decline, the better. You still have a story. If they decide, we're not giving you live interview, we are responding through an email, it's fine. We'll actually still have to know now that Chereros are exiting office. We'll still, whichever way, still have a point. So that angle would have looked interesting. But look at what Jeremiah Kioni said, that at some point, Azimio had depended on civil servants, but these civil servants were also having some element of neutrality, or they were not so strong on Raila's side, or rather they were weak, could not be depended on. So what would be interesting for me to is to pursue that angle, to know at what point did they lose the ball possession. William Odinga normally asks, Uhuru Kenyatta supported Raila, but at what point did he lose the possession? William Odinga normally asks that question. So I think this feature would have gone after Jeremiah Kioni, would have pursued that direction, so that, okay, in terms of civil servants, it's first acknowledging that they are members of Uhuru Sako who are in government that supported Raila. And so what was their role? So that as we judge them, that you want to judge Chebukati, you want to judge Mucheru, you want to judge person X, one person Y, what was their role? You may never know, but even an attempt to know what was their role will still give you a point. And it's not about going after them. Those are officers. You already know what exactly was happening behind the scene. There was a question of security aiding Azimio. I think that question would have been interesting at this point. At this Jeremiah Kioni's point, they would have really gone that direction to find out really, okay, so what was the chain of command there? Azimio's chain of command, which is starting with funding, would be a key take for me, because on that issue of agents, we're talking about they are not paid, they are that. But then Sitebao is blaming Musheru on this issue of agent. On the same issue of agent, he seems to be blaming Junet. And there is also a command center by Kamau Makau Muktua. So which was which? Which was above which? And there is the secretariat. We know the campaign board that was led by Elizabeth Mayo and Muridi team. So how was it organized? So that even if we don't know where there was money, but we see a flow of command, chain of command. From there, you know which board is working under who, or which department from the board, which is acting under command, which section in a agent, so that we know where the ball might have been lost. For me, that angle would be interesting. If I would have been having those resources and being really funded to do that, it will be a good one. This story serves two purposes. It weights off the foreign powers influence narrative. Maybe that was an intention. Raila is out of the country, meeting in US, and the Kenyan election really profiled the US and UK negatively, the foreign powers negatively on our election. So this story weighs off that. I don't know to whose interest. It also signals what I support, end of Azimio la Umoja. Now, things are falling apart. That, to me, I've always said that Azimio coalition should be folded. It was to win an election. So if it didn't win that election, with all the baggage that even in that feature many people are now acknowledging, then it should be folded so that whoever wants to win 2027 should start consolidating. Kamani Kalonzo, start consolidating in time so that when you present your candidature, there is even no contestation on whether you are a candidate or not, or you are running it. That conversation doesn't come to fall. That's my take. I don't know whether that feature convinces you, but there is one thing that comes out loud. Two things. One is on overdependence on civil servants. That could have been. And Raila's votes in Mount Kenya could have been suppressed. There is a possibility that they were suppressed.